Thank you. Secretary Darcy, you mentioned that this was the administration's proposal. Is that correct?
Yes.
Who else within the administration has had input on this?
Well, it was developed with EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers.
No, I understand that, but you deferred then to call it the administration's proposal. Has somebody from the Domestic Policy Council been involved in creation of this proposed rule?
No, but the Office of Management and Budget has reviewed the proposed rule.
From a policy perspective, has anybody from the White House been involved in this proposed rule? To refer to it as the administration's proposal is an interesting choice of words. It's as though you deferred some of the responsibility of this to the administration collectively, as opposed to just the EPA or the Corps.
We are part of the administration, so and we have, as I've stated, this has been also reviewed by the Office of Management and Budget, which is an arm of the President and an arm of the administration.
To the extent of your knowledge, was the Domestic Policy Council involved at all in the proposed rule? Yes or no?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Is that your understanding as well, Mr. Administrator?
I can't know specifically, but when we do a rulemaking jointly or individually as agencies, it goes through an interagency review under an executive order that's been in existence since many, many administrations ago. And in that interagency review run by the Office of Management and Budget, all the agencies get a chance to participate and comment on proposals before they go out as a proposal. So I don't have the details on everybody who may have responded or put input into that, but opportunity was availed to every agency, and we actually did some work with the Department of Agriculture to try to clarify conservation practices that would be to be clear that they're not falling, they would not be affected by this rule.
So in drafting the proposed rule, was there any contribution of language from the White House?
I don't have any specific information on it. Interagency includes
Sure.
the Department of Energy, everyone else.
Okay. So you also mentioned that this is a result of some confusion from the Supreme Court decision. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You seem to rely on Justice Kennedy's significant nexus definition, though, as having provided some clarity. Why the need to expand on his definition? Why not just take it as written, if you're relying on that?
Well, I think in our definition we did include significant language from Justice Kennedy, but we also recognized that we wanted to make it clear that in addition to that, we wanted to make it clear that some activities and waters were not going to be included. We talked about the ditch already, so we wanted to clarify that in the rulemaking that ditches that are in these roadside ditches, types of ditches, would not be included.
Okay.
As an example, or groundwater, or a number of other things that were not specified in his definition.
The curiosity is because, Secretary Darcy, in your written testimony today, you refer to the confusion created by regional application. And I find your written testimony interesting because it's as though the Corps embraced regional decisions as being closest to the community, best understanding the issues of the community following Swank and Rapano. And yet now, either the Corps, the EPA, or the administration broadly is stepping away from that regional application, because in your written testimony it's now suggesting that what was the answer, to use regional application, actually created confusion. And that's now why you're issuing this.
Well, there will be regional distinctions between other waters, but in order to have more clarity overall, I think that the clarity that this rule will provide will give direction to each of our regions as well as our divisions and our districts about how to apply this overall.
Okay, and the last question, part of the efficiency it says that you will be creating is by reducing documentation. Can you explain that? I think that's the heart of the concern of a lot of people who have concerns within their district, that now this will be a less documented, less justified, less explained decision-making authority coming from Washington, and in fact, the regional office will now have less ability to address specific regional concerns.
An example of less documentation would be in the instance of the definition of tributaries. That people will now know that a tributary is a jurisdictional water of the United States. Previous to this rule, there were instances where we would have to go out and on the ground make a determination as to whether a tributary was actually a navigable water. So in this instance now, we have defined tributary, so an applicant or the Corps will not have to go out and look and say, okay, yes, it is a tributary. So that's one piece of the documentation that will be alleviated by this rule.
And you're confident that streamlining is a better system?
I do.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.